Once an Appleman, always an Appleman. So this is, I think, 8 years here at Musselman High School, 27 in the county. I started at Martinsburg and then went to Hedgesville, and then I was able to come back home. But I actually started Musselman High School in the fall of 1986. We were supposed to go here in 1984. Musselman was at one point in time 7 through 12, but the school had grown too big, or the population had grown too big. The school didn't grow at all. And my class was the first class with myself, Miss Hazlett, Miss Elwinger, Mr. Kittner. We went to South Middle for 7th and 8th grade year while they built the Musselman Middle. You know, when I was at Hedgesville, I was always a part of the school and the atmosphere of the school with coaching and teaching there, but I really had no connection with the community. At 3 o'clock or whenever practice was done, I left, and I didn't really come back. But here at Musselman, especially since I had 2 sons that have gone through, and have known the community all of my life. I'm a Spectrum Road boy since 1975. So the kids that come in, I know mom, dad, grandma, granddad, aunts, uncles, everything. And then every night I'm back at the school for soccer, band, swim, track, basketball, football games, all of that. So that's one of the big things that I like about coming back home and being able to teach here in the atmosphere of South Berkeley County and Musselman itself. Musselman and South Berkeley have a tradition like no other because, Hedgesville was tied into Martinsburg a lot of times. A lot of those kids played at Martinsburg for baseball and even football, and it kind of meshed in with it. I think at that time, North, some of them went to Hedgesville, some of them went to Martinsburg, but this was its own entity. I pulled this out. This is the old Musselman High School. Now, if you look over at they've kept it pretty much the same. The gym was added on later on, and then the auditorium. I think auditorium didn't come until about 78 or anything. And if you walk into the auditorium there, it feels the same. The gym even feels different, than what it was back then. The biggest thing about this coming here, the people are the same, the feeling's the same, but it's just grown, the area has grown so much. We were a school of 636 when I graduated. 636 kids, we almost have them in our PLC for a freshman. So just the sheer volume and size is one of the things kind of getting used to with it changing. Just the growth all around. Okay. Right here, this is Bev Kaufman. Anybody watching this that came in here before 1998 will know Bev Kaufman. Bev Kaufman was my history teacher. She taught me U.S. history. She taught me Civil War. She taught me sociology and a little bit of economics. She is one of the main reasons why I'm a school teacher. This one right here is Paul Allen Tyson. Ty graduated from Hedgesville, but he became a principal up here. He's no longer here now. He's moving on up. He's working for the county now. But he called me about 9 years ago and said, Eric, I got a job. Come on up. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm happy right here. He's like, no, seriously, you need to come home. And he's the one that if he had not made that phone call, I'd still be at Hedgesville. So I have the old, I have the new of Musselman High School. That is the reasons why I'm here today. And you know, it is my home, definitely. The feeling, the spirit, the camaraderie that you see, that you had at the old school, you still feel here. You know, I still have friends and college, or friends that I graduated with, played football with, you know, that I'm friends with now here teaching with.
This is like my 37th year at Musselman High School. I started out where Miss Cortez is in room 130, and a lady named Dottie McDonald taught across the hall where KP is. And when Mrs. McDonald retired, they had built the PLC, and so the person, actually Teresa Campbell, was in this room, and she was moving, and she actually gave it to somebody else, and that person decided to retire. I just thought it'd be easier on me not seeing Mrs. McDonald every day, because we were kind of buddies, always talked between classes, and plus I like windows. The biggest difference is probably just facility-wise, because when the high school was across the road where the middle school is now, it was just small. And floors were wooden. That's a big difference. A lady that I moved that has retired, but when she came over here, she had those mats that make it easier on your leg all through the classroom, because she was worried about the concrete under the tile. The floor over there kind of had like a roll like this. One of the teachers that taught there at the time, the last day we were there, wore her roller skates so that she could roller skate down through the hall. I think it's the same. Musselman's always been very family oriented, and we were a little closer, I guess, because that building was smaller. Here we're more spread out, adding the PLC. If I walk over there, it's kind of like I'm in a different country sometimes. Okay, technology is the biggest difference. I can remember that I was trained on how to use computers in my classroom like over a year before I actually had computers in my classroom. And just everything used to be by hand, and I still do a lot of that. And when technology has failed us, then I kind of can fall back on that totally. It's fun to try to learn those new things, but sometimes the old ways work well. Well, to be honest, I don't think I'm a person who adjusts well to change, and so the fact that I'm happy here, I feel like I make a difference. But I don't think, like where some people are like, oh, I'm going to Virginia, you make more money. I don't, money's not that important. Of course, I'm a teacher, so that should speak to that. But that's not the most important thing. The students, the faculty, the family atmosphere, I like it here. It feels like home. That's when people were like, when are you going to retire? Well, I'm still having a good time. I'm not ready to retire yet.
Originally I'm from Putnam County. I went to Winfield High School. So I'm from West Virginia, but right before I lived here, I was in South Carolina. I wanted to come back to West Virginia, and this is the place that was hiring at the time. But I've always loved this area because I think it's just it's more open than Southern West Virginia, where I'm from. It's easier to get around, it's easier to get to places, but it's just beautiful here. I think it's pretty. Traffic has gotten a lot worse, and now we are the traffic circle capital of the world. I feel like we have so many of them, but they do seem to help. The traffic was really, really bad here for a while, and just the area has really, really grown up in good ways and bad. I like the fact that we have different restaurants to choose from and things like that. But I don't like the traffic, and I also don't like to see all of the orchards turning into, all of the old farms turning into just subdivisions. My very first year, we were across the streets, and in that school could not even compare in size to this one. It's grown astronomically, actually. So many more students. Some of the things we have developed, like now there's the Renaissance program. That wasn't here when we first started. Just like grab and go breakfast, and I think the way it's done here, it's not done that way everywhere. I love the interaction that gives with all the students. That's new. Other ways that we've grown, technology then our use of technology has really changed. I know it sounds kind of corny and probably everybody says it, but it is kind of like a family. I feel like, and I've been here so long that some of my former students, now I'm teaching their kids, so it does feel kind of family. And I feel like if anything happens, we're here for each other. Everybody is willing to help each other out. It makes it a very nice place to work.
So I've taught here 25 years. I started in the second year the school was open, so 99-2000 was my first year. I was in college. I was, and it's funny because I had just probably gotten into education, and I spent 7 years at Shepherd. I did the fun tour, and so. At a point when I started taking my college education seriously and I wanted to become a teacher, I never would have thought I was going to get hired at Musselman High School. And it's funny because I actually just got a brick from somebody that I was close with. She passed away and she left me her brick from the original school, which was a big deal at the time with a lot of like older people. My parents graduated from Musselman in the 50s and my brother graduated in 83, and like all my cousins and stuff have gone through Musselman. Yeah, so the changes in the school building is when it first opened, it's funny because over the period of time since the school opened, my original classroom was upstairs on the far end beside the bathroom. You didn't have Miss Shockey's room, Mr. March's room. All that had to be added on a couple years later. And then also in that interim period, we didn't have the PLC back then. So it was a much smaller, compressed school, I guess, but then we added on those extra classrooms, and then years later we did the PLC, but then we had outdoor trailers for a while. So kind of seen a little bit of progression. I still think we could probably knock out a couple walls and add a few more classrooms, to be honest, just with our population. So I mean, it's grown bigger since I've been here. It's just kind of crazy to think about how Musselman High School when I was a kid was like a 7 through 12 school, and now we're a 9 through 12 school that's just like packed with like 1,700 kids, Well, I'm it's funny because we were talking about like a perfect example is like the Four Corners down there. I mean, you had, before Sheets, the original Four Corners was at that intersection. You had a house that was over where Walgreens is. You had a house where CVS is, and you had, basically it was still like the Napa place was still a auto body shop. So that's like the only thing that's kind of survived, is that everything else has kind of changed in that little area. A bunch of fast food restaurants. I remember Inwood when we had one grocery store. Everybody went to Apple Valley Supermarket back in the day. And then at one point we had 3 grocery stores, and now we only have one. We have Food Line. So it's just funny how it started out with 1, went to 3, and then eventually came back to 1 for whatever reason. But yeah, so that's kind of like the big thing. Of course, I mean, when I first started teaching, we had like 900 kids in the building, and that was a lot. And now we're at almost 1,800, so it just means that there's a lot more population here. Places that used to be fields back in the days, or when I was younger, are now houses and apartments and townhouses. And it's not as, it used to be like a kid could come into your classroom and you like knew their grandparents or something. I mean, I have a lot of family around here, so I've been related to a lot of kids that go through Musselman. I still have cousins and stuff that are in the building. They're just now like 3rd and 4th cousins. So, it's just the passage of time. I like the kids, I like the people. This is my community. I mean, I'm from Bunker Hill. I graduated from Musselman in '91, so everybody I know, you know, these are my people that I want to teach, you know. I want everything the best for this area.
Okay, so freshman through senior, I went to the old school, which is now the middle school, Musselman Middle School. Yeah, that's what I attended. I started at Back Creek Valley Elementary School, and then when I was in middle school, they were transitioning from Musselman High School being a 7th through 12th grade school, and so the 7th and 8th graders at that time got bused into South Middle School. And then when we were in 9th grade, then the middle school was ready. But the middle school then was Mill Creek Intermediate. And so Mill Creek Intermediate used to be Musselman Middle School. So for those 2 years, 7th and 8th grade, I went to Faith Christian Academy in Martinsburg. And then for 9th grade, I came back to Musselman. So, well, of course, when we first came here, this school was brand new. So everything was just up to date and in perfect condition, and at the old school it wasn't necessarily, you know. The front hallway, main hallway was curvy because it was a wooden floor, which honestly I loved the character of that, so that wasn't a bad thing to me. And I remember, because I was a student at the old Musselman High School also, and so I remember that on hot days we would have to open the windows of the classrooms in the front hall and then open the doors so that the breeze would go through the classrooms, and that was our air conditioning. So if you weren't careful and like chock the door open, then that breeze could slam the door. So like those kind of things, you know, were definitely different coming across the hall. So some of that character from the old building we lost when we came over here. Well, I mean, my most memorable times are just teaching and being with students, spending time with students. So and that's why I got into this, because I like students and I like history. So it's fun, especially fun when my students understand history and like history, and then they get excited about it. So those are probably some of my most memorable times. But I've been here for a while, so there are a lot of good times that I've had at Musselman. Okay, so I mean, I enjoy softball. I really like softball. I like sports just in general. So that's what drew me into coaching. But then I like working with the students because you get to know them in a different way through sports than you do sitting in your classroom. And so you get to learn their personalities a lot better and just make connections. And so I enjoy that, and I enjoy the sport. Some ways that it's changed over the years. The first year that I coached was in 1996. I graduated from college in 1995, and then 96 I helped coach softball. And back then, the JV program was basically anybody from varsity that didn't get to play in the varsity game would then get to play after the varsity game. Yeah, so, and we called them JV. Yeah. Yeah. And so, so it has changed, I think, over time. In some ways for the better, in some ways maybe not so much for the better. But I still love coaching. I love the girls. I love the sport. So yeah, I enjoy it. So the Bible Club, actually that first year that I was here at Musselman, which was the 1997-98 school year, I had some students come to me and they said, hey, we would like to have a Bible Club here. Would you be willing to be the advisor for it? So I said, yeah. I was really young, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing, but so I've been the advisor for that ever since then. As far as the history of the Bible class, there was a group of parents somewhere around the year 2000 who came to all of the high schools, to the principals, and presented this idea of teaching a Bible history class in the schools. Once they got approval from the 3 principals at the time, because Spring Mills wasn't built yet, Then they went to the board office and they said, we've gotten support from the high school principals and we would love to teach this class or have this class taught. And so then the principals, once it was approved by the board, then the principals just had to find a teacher that wanted to teach it. So I've gone to church all my life, and so I believe in the Bible, and so I like being able to just teach about the history and the culture that we can find in the Bible. And as far as Bible Club is concerned, there's way more people in Bible Club than what take the class. I think it just presents an opportunity for people that do believe in the Bible and have faith to be together and talk about what they believe in and know that it's a safe environment for them to talk about it. Yes, it's a family atmosphere. Yes.
Every interview, every teacher has said that.
Yeah.
Has been the most family-oriented school, and they're very true to their tradition.
Yeah, that is all true for sure. I think that Musselman is a good community, and it's home to me. A lot of people that teach and work here at Musselman are from our community. They've gone to school here, graduated from here, their kids go to school here. So it's just home to me. I don't know that I would be as happy teaching anywhere else. So I enjoy teaching here.
No, no. I love red, white, and green. So much better than orange and black.
Looks like a prison jump.
It does a little bit, doesn't it? Escape convict. Okay, so this is all Bunker Hill High School. This is the plaque. So that's what it was originally. Musselman High School was originally Bunker Hill High School. Now, there were just a few. Now, you can see this stuff is really old. So those are their yearbooks from Bunker Hill High School. Jacob, do you remember how many were in like Bunker Hill High School, like a graduating class? There was only like what? Maybe 10 or 15. And here's an old diploma from that. Yeah. But these are different uniforms, different t-shirts and jackets and all kinds of things from the past years. So people have donated these items, and of course these are here, you know, the old Musselman plant. So you guys know that's how we got our name, right? Okay, so the plant used to be in operation. My dad's an orchardist, so I grew up going to the plant and seeing them make the juice and do all those things. They had what was called a commissary there, where you could go in and buy applesauce and buy apple juice and things in those little cans. I used to love that as a kid, buying those little cans of apple juice, those little teeny tiny ones.
A couple reasons. The first one is coaching, because I was here as a player, and I've also been coaching here before I was teaching here. So it's a good connection to come back and give back from that perspective. And then as a student, I really enjoy being here. Just the family atmosphere and the culture. It's very unique compared to other schools. Nothing against the previous school I taught at, but even coming back this year, there's a big difference in the family atmosphere and the culture. It's just really special. To make an impact on players' lives and people's lives. Obviously, you want to win and lose games, and it's fun to coach the sport itself. But I like the part where you build relationships with the kids and you help them, because sometimes coaching and players, that connection, that kind of helps players move on in life, because sometimes the home lives might not be great, and their only outlet might be playing basketball or football or whatever the sport is. So it's a good outlet and a good connection to help get them in the right direction. So I like, trying to make a big impact in their lives that way. Just relating to them, showing them that, I'm not just here for X's and O's coaching. I'm here and can relate to you. I enjoy the sport. We have things in common. I'm here to help make a difference and help the player in any shape or form that I can.
So what made me want to come down here was a lot of connections that I had, relationships, people that I graduated with came down here and moved. People that coached me or taught me ended up back down here. Maybe they were alumni from here and came back with some stops in between. So that was a draw, and also just the small town kind of culture and how everything's intertwined drew me down here. The rest of the county doesn't quite seem that way, but Musselman still got that feel that it's a pretty tight-knit community, even though it is blowing up these days. So I've lived down here for almost 20 years in Berkeley County. And when we moved down here, we lived right off the Spring Mills exit, and it was nothing but farmland, no Walmart, no restaurants, nothing down there. And then as I grew up through middle school and high school, that really blew up. And then we moved down here, and it used to just be a stop sign at the end of 51 and 11, and now a lot of businesses coming in, roundabouts are in, traffic's crazy, there's a ton of kids here, so the area is definitely blown up as a whole. It's not a little AA town anymore.
So when we first moved to the area, I worked for this company named Sylvan. And all the students that I worked with there that I enjoyed the most were South Berkeley students. So I knew when I wanted to go back into the classroom that I wanted to be in this area. And I chose math when I majored in college because I always enjoyed math. It was black or white. It was very dry cut and to the point. It was right or wrong. There wasn't a lot of analyzing it, and I prefer that. So when I first came, the PLC wasn't here. So when they opened the PLC, I actually moved out and was part of that community, and stayed out there for several years and then moved back over here. So physical change, that's the biggest. I didn't grow up in this area, but in the time that we've lived here, I can see a big difference in the number of people that have come into the area. It's definitely grown. Like I said, we didn't grow up here, so I know I hear that a lot from people that are from this area, but in our short time here, relatively short, I can see the growth. But I think even though we've had that growth, for the most part, it still feels very small town to me. I enjoy it. I don't know if that would be his first answer, but I do like him being here. I like that we have a community that's in common, that's not the family unit. I feel like that's something that we can share, just him and I, and as he grows older and he reminisces and tells stories, I know who the friends are, I know who the teachers are. Even if I wasn't there, I can visualize it because I know our building and our community, so I like that we are able to share that.
I think the school pretty much looks exactly the same. I feel like just the environment as a whole is kind of different. I feel like we were more involved in the school when I went here, if that makes sense. Like the students were more involved, kind of. I enjoyed teaching a lot last year. I think the biggest difference is just I had my own classroom last year, and this year I'm kind of moving around a lot more. I like to move around. I feel like it makes the day go by faster, and I get to see a lot of different kids. Like I get to meet a lot of the kids around in each department of the school, but I just miss having my own classroom. I started cheering in 7th grade. Christy Robinson was actually my first cheer coach ever, and now we're attached at the hip all the time. But yeah, she was my first cheer coach. I cheered at WVU. I cheered here. I did all-star cheerleading. Then I started coaching, and now I've been coaching since I was 17. I do tumbling lessons, and I used to be the cheer coach here, but now I'm coaching at the Martinsburg Rec Center, and I work more with just tumbling and gymnastics.
Musselman High School, I've been here 18 years, been teaching, and I was been coaching here the entire 18 years. And then, as the head coach, as a head football coach, I've been here, it's been 12 years. So I was 6 as an assistant before I became the head coach. Oh man, I think probably the biggest change, probably in society, but definitely in coaching that you've seen is social media. I think social media has taken off a lot. In the past 10 years, I'd probably say the first 8 years or so that I was coaching, it wasn't a huge thing, and then it's became more popular and more popular. Just people being active on social media, promoting on social media, just kind of constantly being on there. That's one thing that now is kind of incorporated with students these days, and also coaching in general. I think, I'm of the belief that I think any good coach is a good teacher, and that goes up from, professional level to college level down to high school level. So, I take pride in teaching. I take pride in teaching math, and I try to be a good math teacher. I think that helps me become a better coach. So I think the two kind of coincide. I take both of those jobs, coaching and teaching, very seriously. Probably, there's a lot. There's a lot. If I had to pick one, it'd be hard to pick one. Probably just the locker room. Probably just the fact that, you get me as an adult, I get to see kids having a good time. I get to see kids enjoying their friends, enjoying the high school experience. I know I had a good high school experience, and I miss, you miss your friends, you miss those experiences, you miss those memories. No matter how many times you tell kids, like, hey, you're going to grow up, it's going to be a little bit tougher. They all the time don't believe that. So, getting to see them enjoy those times with each other, I think high school is one of the best times of your lives. Probably seeing the different personalities, that goes along with coaching as well. But the classrooms, the classroom's similar to the locker room. It's similar and it's different. With teaching, you get to meet, and I guess with coaching too, you get to meet so many students, and you get to meet so many students from different backgrounds, different personalities, different interactions. And I really like getting to know students and getting to kind of figure out, like, hey, what's this student enjoy? What's this student? What makes, what's the students' hobbies that kind of gain their interest, so then I can get a relationship with them, and I think that makes me a better teacher. I mean, I came here just because the traditions of the school. The school has such a strong tradition base, and you hear a lot of positives about the school. Me growing up, and even now, the fact that I want to stay here. I love this community. I love this area. Now when I started teaching here, I didn't have a family. Now that I've been teaching here 18 years, my wife graduated from here. My sons both go to school locally in the area. So, just the community and just the fact that I love this community makes me want to stay.
I've really enjoyed my time. I think Musselman's a special place. It's set apart from the rest of the county, and I've kind of bounced around the north end a little bit, Hedgesville, Spring Mills, all that, and this is a unique place, so it's pretty cool to work here. I think even growing up, before I worked here, something that stayed the same was the traditions that Musselman has, and like I said, how tight-knit everybody is, and everybody kind of supports each other, and the rest of the county doesn't quite feel like that. This has that small town vibe that I really enjoy, and I think it kind of ties us all together and makes us a little stronger as a whole.
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'd say playing sports, to be honest. Probably not a shocking answer there coming from me, but playing sports, just because again, you get that family atmosphere. You have the crowd, the student section, your friends, the teachers, they're all there to support you. You're out there, you're playing, you're representing your school. Again, family atmosphere with the team itself, the coaches. I'd say being a player at the school.
The best for me is the people I work with. I think that we have the best department in the school. My math people have become my best friends. That's a big reason why I stay in the building. I don't think that's necessarily true everywhere you go, that you have a department that's so close and can lean on each other, and typically agree, but when we don't, it's constructive, and I think that's hard to find sometimes.
The worst thing is that we don't have a built-in Chick-fil-A in our lunchroom that we could just get Chick-fil-A every single day for lunch. There you go.
For me, the worst things would be when things happen that cause people to be unhappy. So, like when we have the teacher strikes and when there's unrest and people are just kind of anxious about things, like that would be the worst thing for me, probably. I try to see the world in a positive light, and so when it's hard to see the positive, that's difficult for me. So those kind of things are probably the worst things.
The worst thing. There has been a lot of growth, like I mentioned earlier. And I think for the most part, we have really good students here who are respectful and kind. But with growth, there always come people that aren't from the area, who don't know what the expectations are, and who can throw off the balance, and that can be challenging.
The best thing is I enjoy coming here every day. You know, I enjoy every day seeing teachers, students. You know, I know that every day that I'm going to be coming to a positive environment. You know, I think that's the best thing, man.
As far as the best things, like when our students excel and succeed and do great things, like when we have students who do well academically and they get into the school of their choice and then they get to go on and do the job of their choice, like that's my goal, is for students to find something that they love and then to pursue that, you know, as far as their life's work. Because one thing I try to teach my students from time to time is that if you can't find a job that you enjoy, then you're gonna dread getting up and going to work in the mornings. And I want you to love getting up and going to work, because I love to get up and go to work because I like it here. This is the only place I want to be. I like teaching at Musselman.
Was that good? That was good, wasn't it?